Continuing on our journey in the northeast of the island, we're staying near to Arta. We've come now to Cala Ratjada or Cala Rajada. They seem to have changed the spelling since we were last here. It's about 30 years, maybe a little bit more than 30 years since we've been to this end of the island, and we don't actually recognise it. So it's a voyage of discovery for us. So come along with us and we're going to have a look around Cala Rajada or Cala Ratjada. Just driving into Cala Ratjada, the first thing that surprised us was just how busy a place it really is. It's really quite a big community, lots and lots of shops, and there's lots of people who are here, residents and people on holiday. Now we just walked down to the front. It was quite difficult to find a place to park. Where we actually parked was in a side street, and I parked my car, and then I walked, and the car behind had got a ticket, and the one behind that had got a ticket. So I was wondering why, because there were no yellow lines. But when I looked up, there was a no parking sign with 1 to 15 on it, and that means the first 15 days of the month you're not allowed to park on that side of the road. And today, being the beginning of August, means that you're not allowed to park on that side of the road. So the poor people who were in those cars, I'm guessing they were renter cars, didn't know that, and they've paid the fine. And if I hadn't have noticed their tickets, I probably would have fallen into the same trap. So all I did was to move the car across the road where there are some other cars parked, but there was plenty of space to park, and hopefully I'll be safe. So you can see we're just walking along the front here. The sea is really quite rough. There's a strong breeze, and lots of bars and restaurants. I'm noticing a lot of things written in German, so maybe it's aimed more at the German market now. So we came 30 something years ago with 2 little children, one of them a baby, and it was only for a long weekend, similar to what we're doing this time. But Anita has different recollections to me, and she seems to think that our little boy was not very happy here, so we went home early. The coast here looks quite rugged, and with it being so windy, there's a lot of waves blowing up here. It's probably affecting the sound a little bit on the video too. We are about as far as we can possibly get away from our house on the island and still be on the island. So Anita's just there's a bandstand over there. She's found something else. There's lots of little bits of art. We've noticed 1 or 2 pieces of art just as we've walked into the village or into the town. Here's another one. Really quite striking eagle. Seems to be no shortage of places to eat. We'll have a little walk around first. It's coming up to 1 o'clock. Smell the barbecue somewhere. So we're going out there on a jet ski. I think they're going to get a rough ride today, and a little bit of spray too. We just visited the village of Capdepera, so we'll be having a video of that going up as well. And we did visit the market, and we also visited the castle. If you're thinking of going there, beware, it's very hilly. Walking around Cala Ratjada is a little bit easier. It's very flat. will see quite a few people wearing masks, and particularly when we were in the market, just about everybody was wearing a mask. In the streets, when you're in the open air, you don't have to wear a mask at the moment, as long as you can keep a safe distance away. But as soon as you go into a bar or a restaurant, a hotel or a shop, then you're required to put the mask on. And people are pretty good at doing that. Even the tourists seem to be quite good. Oh, it's getting windy here, very, very windy. Somebody asked me if we'd had some strong winds, and I said no, where we've been, but it's windy today. I'm not going to class them as strong winds, but it's windy.
My parasol down blew away.
Mallorca is an interesting island as far as weather's concerned, because it can be totally different from one part to another. We've got big mountains that shelter us from some of the weather, and here we are in the north of the island, and there's another set of mountains. So depending on which part of the mountain you are, which side, as to whether you're going to be sheltered from the weather that's coming in. So walking along here was very, very windy. Just by the sea now, it's actually really is quite rough. It is the 4th of August today, 2021, and we still do have lots of restrictions. One person commented on the Facebook, on the YouTube channel, how annoyed he seemed to be about the fact that there were restrictions. The restrictions are to protect us all, protect the people who live here, protect the visitors that are coming. At the moment we have really high numbers, and that's a problem for Mallorca. Germany and some other European countries have put us on an Amber Plus red list. They don't have the same sort of categories as they do in the UK, but they're restricting or causing certain restrictions. So some people going back to Germany, for example, will have to go into isolation, and that's a big problem for anyone who's got a job. So if you're young and you've not been double jabbed and you get isolated, then you can't go to work, and I'm sure your bosses are going to be very happy about that. At the moment, for the UK, that's not a problem. Coming here is not an issue. You don't need to have anything, you just fill in a location form. But when you go back, the way the rules are at the moment is you have to have a test before you go, and that can be an antigen test. It costs you 30 euros. We have seen discounts. We've seen a place advertising at 25 euros. So you might be lucky and get it a little bit cheaper. And then when you get back to the UK, depending on whether you've been jabbed, double jabbed or whatever, as to what you need when you get there. So we're planning to go back next week, and I can see that we're going to have to organise a PCR test on our day 2, and that will mean so we'll have to pay for that in advance. The only problem is I'm not actually sure where we're going to be staying, so I don't know what we put as the address. Something on the sea here, struggling with the waves, I guess. It's very, very rough today for Mallorca, and you don't want to get yourself bashed against these rocks. They're very, very sharp. Interesting shops, I know Anita's tempted to go in, and more interesting artwork. see the statue. It's got some writing on it, but it's way too far away for me to actually read. I'm not sure how you get there. You can climb over the wall. Clearly that's what people do, climb over the wall. I don't think I'm going to do that. It's by, I can't really read it from here, Joanne, somebody. Looks like a musical piece for Anita. Owned by parents from the school I used to teach at, but that's many, many years ago. Beautiful coastline, and you don't mind the rocks, it's really quite pretty. I always like to see the waves crashing against the rocks. We're doing plenty of that today. I did see a jet ski go out, and I can see a little yacht, sailing yacht in the distance. And one other boat, two other boats, but not many boats out there today. It's just a little bit too choppy for them, I think. Chiringuito. Coming up towards the sandy beach of Cala Rajada, and there's lots of people in the sea here.
There's got tamarisk tree here as well.
This is admiring the tree. We have one of these in our garden. It's not flowering at the moment though. We had it largely cut down, it's getting too big. But Here in the bay we've also got a few surfers at the boards, and there are some nice waves actually going in. Seventh wave. Some nice waves coming in now. It's a big one rolling in. Nobody's caught that one. This one's quite a big one. So we'll get this one. Quite quick enough. So waves come in waves. Sounds a strange thing to say, but all waves are not the same size. So you have a big wave and they gradually get smaller and smaller, and then they get to bigger and bigger and bigger. You have a wave of waves. And that's why surfers refer to the seventh wave. So you have to wait. It's not always 7, of course. 6, 8. Wait for the big wave. So they will actually sit and count waves. Much as I like to watch surfers surfing, you've got to be very patient, just like the surfers, waiting for them to catch that wave. Otherwise you just watch them bobbling up and down. Just getting a little bit closer to the beach. And it's busy, busy, busy. Beginning of August, so you'd expect it to be quite busy. Actually, there's this section of the beach. The first section of the beach has been cordoned off. So it's actually cordoned off so that the surface has got full range. It's a bit dangerous if you've got swimmers in there and the board's coming in quite quickly with one of those waves and cause some damage. So the surfers have been kept separate from the other swimmers, and the beach itself is looking really busy too. Lots of sunbeds and parasols out there. There's a lifeguard on duty. Every beach we've been to so far this summer has had a green flag. Now is the first one that doesn't have a green flag. It's got a yellow flag, and it really is blowing really strongly because it's very, very windy. So I'm guessing that's why we have the green flag. Struggling with a beach umbrella, the lifeguard. It's too windy for them today. So one of the surfers did try to get away, I'm not sure whether he made it or not. As a child I would have loved to have been playing in those waves, surfing in on them. Not for me now. Right. And the big hotels here on the beach. Lots of people. Found some more artwork for us to have a look at. Made the place a little bit more interesting. We need that. Lifeguard is signalling to somebody who's strayed in the wrong area, so he whistles them, tells them to move into a different area. Sometimes it's the surfers who've just slightly gone off stray. Sometimes it's the swimmer who's paddling in the areas where they shouldn't be. Going to head off now into the more commercial areas behind the hotels, behind the promenade, and hopefully into the shade where it's a little less windy and a little less sunny. I can take my hat off. There's quite a breeze coming from the sea. When we drove in, we drove through many of the streets here in Cala Rajada. It's a very busy place, numerous streets with numerous shops, and we're not going to cover it all in this little video, but you'll get a little picture. So even though it's really busy, some places are not open. So there's a hotel right on the front. It's not open. So one thing that could have hit this area is the uncertainty from the German market. Some of the Germans have had to pack up and go home early because of the changes in the restrictions, and then some will have cancelled their holidays altogether. In the UK, there's been so much uncertainty, but we still have a lot of British tourists here because a lot of them have been double jabbed, and that removes some of the restrictions. Now we've walked away from the beach area now, and in doing so we walked past quite a few places that were not open or shuttered up. And we've come to what's more the main sort of shopping area now, and things are a little bit more open here. It's getting close to lunchtime, so we're seeing one or two places that are actually closing up because it is lunchtime. I think the majority probably would stay open along the street. One thing we have noticed is how busy it is with cars. lots of traffic on the roads in this area, and that's usually an indication there's a lot more tourists here. An embroidery and stamping shop across the road. I used to do. I used to have an embroidery machine similar to the one in that shop there. It was a little bit bigger though. These roads all lead down to the sea. Places look as though they're probably only open in the evenings. Rules at the moment are that it can stay open till 1 o'clock in the morning, and just about everywhere is to close. I think that's what is upsetting the people who are thinking of going clubbing in Magaluf. It just at the moment isn't going to happen. Curry King, actually smells quite good. Burger King. Angels. And then we come across a place that's not quite made it. Big square here with the tourist information and the Guardia Civil, quite often close together. Tourist information, Guardia Civil. If you want to report a crime, Guardia Civil is the place you'd probably go to. Close to the sea again now, so changing shape of the coast. More artwork. Quite a nice place to kind of sit, chill and play. And this is a kilometre post here telling us that we're actually on the MA15, which comes all the way from Palma. And we're 79 kilometres from the beginning of this road. Equivalent to a milepost here in the UK. They're just very, very well done here. These kilometre posts and 10th kilometre posts are on all the roads. So it's easy to identify exactly where you are. So if you broke down, for example, you would say you're on this particular road at kilometre 10.5, and that would, they would identify you. I guess that's all been a little bit superseded with GPS. That's, the Spanish were very well organised in that respect. Nightclub, I'm guessing that's closed up. Can't actually see how nightclubs can work, so guessing most are not open, if not all of them are not open. More basket work that we saw in the markets and even in the museum when we were in Capdepera. You see, very much aimed at the German market. Bierbrunnen? Don't know what that means. I know what the beer means. Now we just got to decide what we're going to do. I think it's definitely time for a drink. We've had a nice long walk this morning and not really stopped for anything to eat or drink, so now it's time to start looking, I think. Well, we managed to find somewhere for a nice cold drink, and we're going to have some tapas as well, which is normal for us. So when we sat down, the owner came over to us and said, I can do you a 10-plate surprise. So this is our 10 plates of surprises. So we've got lots of different things here to have a little taste of. It looks really nice.